Wow. Haven't been on here in a few days. So it's a Friday night. It's pretty late actually. I don't actually expect that many people to be on here, but I've been trying to do one live every week. So, even if no one gets on here tonight, we still good. Still fulfilling my goal, completing the mission, you feel me? I'll probably stay on here, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It always depends on who gets on. It always depends, man. If no one gets on, then I might start doing my little lecture, you know what I mean, like I normally do. But if someone gets on, then I'll just talk with whoever gets on here. But what was I gonna say? Um, I definitely had something on my mind that I was gonna say, and I lost it, bro. I lost it. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine in the army that's learning Spanish right now, so that's fun. I forget how difficult things are for people in the beginning, so can't dump too much on them, or else they kind of just like they're like, I don't understand anything that you're talking about, and it's not fun. So that's where we're at with that. Tomorrow we got Javante Davis versus Ryan Garcia. If you watch this video, tell me who you got and how they're gonna win, because the predictions are all over the place, and someone's gonna be right and someone's gonna be super super wrong. So interesting. Also, I'm gonna end up making this a video separately, but just so I have something to talk about while I'm on live. If you're learning a language and you're looking for books, hey, hola, cómo estás, bro? ¿Qué haces? If you're learning a language and you're looking for books, go on Reddit, go to the subreddit, however you say books in your language. So the subreddit libros in Spanish, just a bunch of people that recommend books, or they're asking for books. But when they ask for books, they're also saying like, "Hey, I read these 5 books and I like them. Can you recommend me something?" So you can get those 5 books that they've already read, and then you get 10, 20, 30 people replying to them. If you like this, you would like this. Right there, just in one thread, you just racked up like 50 potential books that you could read. So, anyways, I just said that because I just picked up a book from that thread, and I'm like, yo, yeah, I don't think I've seen a YouTube video about going onto this subreddit, because people are always like on YouTube, like, how do I find books to read in Spanish? Like, where do I look? So, I think I'm gonna make that a video like tomorrow, maybe the next day, whenever I get some free time. But great way to find books. In that particular book, even though no one asked, it's about the Bermuda Triangle. So I said it so many times in Spanish, I forgot how to say it in English. It's about the Bermuda Triangle, and these like 4 friends that are flying from Argentina to Miami. But something happens when they fly. I'm not gonna tell you guys because I don't know, because I didn't finish reading the book yet, but I will. Bro, me dijiste hola y nada más. ¿Qué haces? Do, 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 do. says 3 people that are in here, but I don't know who it is. Huh. YouTube is very weird about the numbers that they put up. Ok, tú acabas de comer. ¿Qué comiste, bro? ¿Qué comiste? Puedes adivinar. Pollo y arroz. Picture in picture. What did I just do? Oh my god. Playing picture in picture. How do I get back? Oh, there we go. Un plato de asada. ¿De dónde, bro? ¿Dónde compraste ese plato? ¿O lo hiciste? Eso es lo que quiero saber. Ah, con arroz. I knew it. Lo sabía. Yo dije pollo, pero asada y arroz, casi lo mismo. ¿Pero de dónde? ¿O lo cocinaste? San Diego. But from where though? Did you make it? Or did you buy it? ¿Lo cocinaste? ¿O lo compraste? Eso es lo que quiero saber. I've never been to San Diego. Haven't really heard good things about it. Only people from San Diego tell me good things about San Diego. So, okay, lo compraste. ¿De dónde? Do, 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 do. Dun, 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 dun. No me vas a decir. ¿De dónde? Hmm. Guess you don't want me to know where you bought it from. You gatekeeping your food, bro. I'm not gonna come steal it. I just want to know where you bought it from. That's all. That's all, bro. Just wanted to know where you bought it from. It's all good though. It's all good. What's new, man? How's your Spanish going? Besides gatekeeping your food in Spanish. Okay, never heard of that before, but it sounds good. Sounds good. If I ever go to San Diego, I'm gonna hit that spot up, see what it's hitting for. Sounds good. Hmm. Let's see. It's about 9:30. I'll stay on here till like 9:45, 10 at the latest. Unless it just gets packed up in here, which I don't see. It's not that good. What you mean it's not that good, bro? This your first time eating there or what? That's the worst, bro. The worst is when you step out and you try something new and it's not good. Because you're like, man, I shouldn't even try something new. Should have just went to my usual spot. You been using italki? Dope. Tell me something new that you learned, bro. Or if not something new, then tell me something that you got more comfortable saying or comfortable using. Because surely, if you've been using italki, you've learned some stuff and you've improved on some stuff. So, I'd like to know. You were working on the subjunctive. I'm guessing you were working on the present subjunctive. Doo, doo, doo. And all the trigger words like cuando, aunque, para que. What else? There's a bunch, honestly. There is a bunch. Is this something that you didn't know, or is it something that you were just getting better at? Getting better at. Okay, it's good, man. It's good. The subjunctive is very important. In English, it's not really important, but in Spanish, it's super important. So definitely want to get better at that because, and I've talked about this a lot before, but I'm gonna tell you again. Our indicative in English is pretty neutral. We talk and we understand through context. In Spanish, that's not the case. So, if you say something, like the indicative in Spanish is very factual, at least in your head, right? If you say it, you believe it to be true and it's something that's happening, right? Or something that habitually happens. So, if I'm talking about something that's going to happen in the near future, um, I don't want to talk about it like it's a fact. It's not something that is happening right now. So that's why you have those triggers. So, like, for example, if I say, when you get here, cuando llegues, I don't want to say llegas because llegas implies that either you habitually come here or you're literally coming here right now, but you're not. So I'm talking about cuando llegues. Very important. In English, like I said, the words don't change. It's like you like I'm gonna use like we're pretend this is your place of work. You get here at 6, or I could say when you get here at 6. Those are the same words. It's the same combination of words. You only have the context of me saying when, but it's the exact same words. In Spanish, it's not the same. So you know that someone is talking about something that is not actually happening. And I love that. Honestly, when people teach the subjunctive, they always make it more difficult than it has to be. Like you don't need to think should I be speaking in the subjunctive? You need to think, should I be speaking in the indicative right now? It's way easier to think of it like that. People tell, because Spanish speakers grow up doing it, so they don't have to think about it. But when they tell English speakers how to use the subjunctive, they say, like, oh, well, if you doubt it, or if it's emotion, and then so you're sitting there like, do I doubt this thing? Am I emotional? But it shouldn't be like that. It's should is this thing factual? Like you should be thinking, am I supposed to be talking in an indicative right now? If the answer is yes, you're good. If the answer is no, then it's the subjunctive. So you don't want to think, should I be using the subjunctive? Think, should I be using the indicative? It's way easier that way. Sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not. It's actually not. So, uh, yeah, like creo que it's a fact. In my head, it's a fact. I think that. I believe that. If once I say no creo que, I don't believe it anymore. So that's where I say, should I be speaking in indicative? No, because I don't believe this thing, or I don't think this thing is gonna happen, or whatever. Um, and that's a much easier way to think about it. But the other thing too is like triggers. You really don't have to think anything if you know the triggers. Like anytime you say para que, it's the subjunctive. There's nothing to think about. So cuando, not 100%, but if you say cuando and you're talking about something that's gonna happen or that is in the near future, you know you should be using it. Technically, aunque can be indicative or subjunctive, but most of the time it's the subjunctive. What else? What's some other triggers? Those are the big ones. Hace que. What else? I feel like there's some more simple ones that I'm missing, but it's something that I would think if I was talking, but right now I can't just think of it out the blue. But yeah, man, those triggers are important. That's good though. Is that the biggest thing you've pulled out of your italki lessons? Yeah, me gusta que, o no me gusta que, no me gusta que la gente alce la voz, right? Instead of saying alza, say alce because it's something that I don't like, and um, I'm not talking about something that someone is specifically doing right now. I'm talking about, in theory, I don't like people raising their voice. Also, kind of like imaginary situations. That's getting a bit complex, but it's the same thing. Um, eh, we just said me gusta que, no me gusta que. Oh, antes de que. Anytime you say antes de que, psh, subjunctive. Easy one. But yeah, most of those, like I said, you speak enough and you don't even think about it. It's just you say it and automatically the word that comes out just comes in the subjunctive. And like once you get a hold of it, also it doesn't even make sense. Um, like if you said vas instead of vajas, like you would just be like, ew, nah, like that doesn't even make sense. Like it just grammatically it doesn't make sense. You wouldn't even you'll stop getting confused by it because it'll sound so wrong. It's kind of like so I was a personal trainer for a long time, and one time my client asked me, "How many does this weigh?" And I was like, "What the like? No, how much does it weigh?" And he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro, what?" Like, and then we started trying to think of the rule of when to use much and many, and I couldn't really think of it. I was like, it has something to do with like list. Like if you can list the thing, then it's many. If it's a thing, then it's much. And there were some exceptions to that, but the point was I didn't really know the rule. I just know when you're saying like how much does this weigh, you don't say many. like, and if there was kids, I wouldn't say how much kids are there. I'll say how many kids are there, because like I said, we found out that I think if you can count it, then you say many. If it's not countable, then you say much. But that's not even something that you have to know. You just from talking, you know when to say much and when to say many. And it's the same thing with like the subjunctive. Like I said, they grow up speaking like that, and so probably when you're a kid, you get corrected like, and it's like no, vajas, no, jegas, and eventually you just realize every time I say these words, the next thing is subjunctive. So it'll come with time. It'll come with time. But that's good though, man. I'm glad to hear that you're on italki, being proactive, taking charge, man. Because there's a few people that I'm in contact with, either through social media or real life, that are just like, I'm gonna start next week, man. I promise you. And I'm like, yo, I'll give you my friend's number. Like, y'all could start today. Like, and they're like, yeah, I'm like a little bit busy, but next week I'm free. Months on months, no italki lessons, no nothing, and they're still in the same place. So you keep doing what you're doing, man. And I don't know what level you're at right now, but if you understood everything I said to you earlier, you're replying in Spanish and you know subjunctive, you know the triggers. You're at a decent level. I guarantee you can have conversations if you know that stuff. Um, you did tell me you lived in Mexico though, so I imagine you know a bit. Well, regardless, I was just gonna say, if you keep doing what you're doing, if you're not already at a super high level, you will be, like this year, bro. Trust me. And maybe one day you'll do a podcast episode. Trying to break the intermediate level. Okay, that's good. I don't really know what the intermediate level is. That's something different to everybody, but the way I like to think of it is like there's not really levels. It's it fluctuates. Like straight up, even like to this day, like my dance instructor doesn't really speak English. Like in the last class that we had, I was just talking to her in English. She understands, but she can't really. She would speak back in Spanish, and like I've had like a bunch, like months worth of conversations in Spanish with no English in it. But last class, I was just tired, man, and like Spanish just wasn't working, and I was like, she's gonna have to deal with this. So on that day, I was like an intermediate, man. Like I wasn't having like trouble communicating. My brain was like, don't do it, bro. Just speak in English. So she would speak to me in Spanish. Sometimes I would say stuff back in Spanish, but just wasn't feeling it, man. But there's been other days where I've spoke nothing but Spanish to her. Like I said, it wasn't really an issue of like, oh, I don't know how to say this thing. It was like, bro, I don't feel like putting forth an effort. So um, there's not like a wake up moment. I don't think there's a time that you're gonna wake up and be like, I'm advanced now, but you might look back at where you are right now and just be like, oh yeah, I'm far past that. So I don't know if you know like how to use the subjunctive in the past tense, because that's a step up. If you don't, I would suggest that you start messing around with that, right? Um, so like, what would you already know? You already know, um, like we'll use like the verb decir, right? If I say, what do you want me to say? ¿Qué quieres que yo diga? Right? But the subjunctive in the past tense, right? Tú querías que yo dijera, like because We're talking about the past tense. It's the same concept. It's literally the same concept. We're talking about something that didn't happen, right? If I was talking about something that I did say, I would say dije. But I didn't say it. It was something that you wanted me to say. Tú querías que yo dijera, right? Not, it's not really like crazy difficult to grasp. It's just a matter of practicing it. Because like if you don't use that form of the subjunctive a lot, and when you're telling a story or something, you'll be like, oh, que yo oh, dijera. Like you just won't be ready for it. But same thing, same thing. So if you don't know how to use that, I would suggest that that be your next step. Little step up. If you can, I think there's like if I was gonna put stuff into levels, that's like the three levels to me. Like there's Spanish speakers that don't know how to use the subjunctive at all, and like when you're there, to me, you're the most beginner of beginner. You cannot express yourself without the subjunctive. You cannot effectively communicate without the subjunctive. You just can't. Um, and so once you do know how to subjunctive, know how to use the subjunctive, and you know how to navigate that at all or well, then to me, you are in this lower or upper intermediate place, right? And then once you fully grasp the language and you can use the subjunctive in the past tense, or you could talk about something imaginary, like um, like if I asked you like, hey, ¿qué harías si tú tuvieras blank cantidad de dinero, right? What would you do if you had blank amount of money? Um, that is like really not tangible. So let me, you know what, I'm gonna revise this. I'm gonna revise this scale. There's being able to talk about what's directly in front of you, basically. If you don't know how to use the subjunctive, then you can only talk about tangible stuff or like something like right outside of that tangibility, right? I do this, I blah, 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 whatever. And then the next level up, when you can use the subjunctive, you can start to talk about intangible things. Like, I want you to say this. It's not being said, so it's not tangible. It's not something that happened. It's not something that's gonna happen. It's something that I want. That's all up in here. And then the most upper level, the same thing in English. Uh, we can have conversations about stuff that doesn't exist at all. Like the thing that you're doing doesn't exist. The thing that you would do if you did this doesn't exist. The money that I said, what would you do if you had this money? The money doesn't exist. You doing it doesn't exist. None of this exists. It's completely just hypothetical, right? If you can talk like that to me, really honestly, no matter like how fluid you can talk, if you can express something like that, there's no way that I could say that you're not at a high level of a language. Because I know people in English that it's our native language and they're not good at expressing those kind of situations. They would say like, okay, you have $1 million. What do you do? Which is fine. Through context, I'm like, if I had $1 million, what would I do? Yes, I understand what they're saying. But they don't know how to grammatically put that together. And it's the same thing. We can say, if I were you, I would do this. But a lot of people just be like, yo, if I'm you, I'm not doing that. Or if I'm you, I'm doing this. Like some people don't know how to make that upper level sentence structure. And I think it's the same in Spanish. I think you can talk fluidly without really knowing how to say that stuff. But I also think you could not talk super fluidly and be able to use those upper level structures. And I would still say, like, to me, you're still upper level, even if you talk broken up or whatever, whatever. You're guessing I like Reese's Puff cereal with chocolate milk. You still listen to the game. You're a Gemini. You own more than three TVs, but only one works. The only thing you got right was I do still listen to the game sometimes, every once in a while. 300 bars and running. That was cold, bro. I hate Reese's Puffs. I don't like chocolate milk. I don't like chocolate anything. It's kind of just disgusts me. I'm not super picky, so if you gave me something chocolate like chocolate milk, sure, I'll drink it. I would never buy it myself though. I'm not a Gemini. I'm an Aries. I do not have three TVs. I only have one. I don't think you can see it. I just got this one TV. Yes, 300 bars is still hot. Big facts. But where did you like where'd you get those guesses from, man? Like you just really just pulled those out of a hat, bro. They weren't even close. You should have I'm gonna give you some advice. I used to do cold readings. I don't know if you know what cold readings are, but whatever. I was military intelligence. I know people very well. What you do is you say one thing and you're vague about it, and you get a reaction from them so that you know if you're going in the right direction. And then you go from there. Because if you would have just said something about Reese's Puffs, you would have saw my face and known that I don't like chocolate. And then you probably could have, you probably could have made some better guesses after that. But chocolate's a big no for me, man. It's a big no for me. That was very interesting. That was very entertaining. Sorry, I just saw that previous message. You get that confused with the conditional. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not like a super grammar nerd, so a lot of times I know the structures and I don't even know the names for them in English or Spanish. Like I could tell you how to use them, but sometimes people are like, "Hey, when you do this with a conditional, should it be paired with this?" And I'm like, "Tell me the words you're trying to use. I don't know the names." So, but on that same note, they're probably interchangeable. If I know what you're talking about, those words are probably interchangeable. Or at least it doesn't matter so much. I should say that. I don't know exactly, but same thing in English. I could say, "What would you do if I were to give you $1 million?" Or "What would you do if I was to give you $1 million?" One of those is incorrect, but it doesn't matter. What would you do if I gave you $1 million? What would you do if I give you $1 million? There's a bunch of different ways that you could say it, and a lot of them are interchangeable. They actually slightly mean different things, but if you don't know it, then it all means the same thing. And it's the same way in both languages. In fact, what did my friend today say to me? Because he mixed two of them. He said, ¿Qué tú harías si tienes un hijo malcriado? Right? Should he have said, tuvieras? Yeah. But he's a native speaker. Do whatever you want to do. So he said tienes. I understood perfectly what he meant. I asked him why he said tienes, and he's just like, because I felt like it. And I was like, cool. So, yeah, like I said, grammatical structures, they matter more to somebody that's learning the language because you don't have a full grasp of it. But once you're on that level, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, if I'm like, "Hey, yo, what would you do if I give you a new burrito?" You understand 100% what I mean. I don't have to say if I were to give you a new burrito. Now, if someone's learning English, I probably would say, "What would you do if I were to give you a burrito?" Because they might be confused by me like mixing the tenses and stuff like that. But like I said, when you're a native speaker of a language, it's pretty hard to get confused, and you just ask for clarification if you get confused by something. Because like I said, English is like really through context. So you know, yeah, you just ask questions. You're like, did you mean this or did you mean this? And they're like, oh yeah, this is what I was saying. So basically, I'm a big nerd. That's what I just got out of all of that. IDM7, are you still in here? If so, why? Why did you come in here in the first place? Like, what made you click on this? Because I've never seen your name before, so I don't think you're subscribed to my channel. If you are, you've just never commented or joined a live before. So I'm interested, and I'm interested what spawned your guesses. What what made you just say like I'm gonna guess all this stuff and see if I get it right? It's very interesting. No one's ever done that on my live before. You're a very special person. Nick, did I ever ask you what your actual name is? I feel like I did, and I forgot. Let me see. Can I click your profile? Why can't I click your profile? Well, since I can't click your profile, I can't see if your full name is on your channel. I think I think I did. Nick can only stand for. No, it's not Nick. You have a full name, right? Is it Nicholas? I'm not gonna call you. I just wanted to know. It just helps me remember stuff. Cause every time I see your name, I'm gonna think like, is it Nikki? Is it Nicholas? Okay. Okay, cool. Just making sure I wasn't tripping. I do remember a lot of stuff. I remember the whole Tijuana conversation and stuff like that. But sometimes, like I said, that's probably been like a couple weeks since then, right? So, you got any other questions or concerns, man, that I could maybe help you with? I can't guarantee you anything. I'm not an expert, but I'm probably a little bit ahead of you. So, there might be something that you're struggling with or that you have a question about that I just might be able to help you with. Also, if I don't know, then I'm just gonna be happy to do some research on it. So, do 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 do. Wow, it's 9:57. That's crazy. This is what always happens. I'm like, I'm gonna get on for 15 minutes, and then I start talking, and an hour passes. I'm only at 40 minutes right now, so I'll stay on. If y'all keep talking, I'll stay on for an hour. But I'm not doing more than that tonight because it's Friday. Can't think of anything. That's cool. That's cool. If you do happen to think of something, or you have something that you maybe want to see, just always let me know, man. I'm always trying to think of new content anyway, so it's only gonna just help me out. I was thinking of oh, you finally went back to jujitsu. How was that? That's awesome, man. Yeah, but I was thinking about like I don't know, doing something on here like reading or talking about something, but in Spanish, you know. So not tonight, but like in the future. One day in the future. Some kind of interactive activity. Hey. What I'm actually doing right now is I'm actually looking up the conditional tense to make sure it is what I think it is. And it is, actually. So, um, you weren't actually wrong. You said you would get it confused with the conditional tense, but it is the conditional tense that you. Oh, no, 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 no. I just realized what you said you got confused. So you get like. Okay. Let me think of a word that would be more confusing. Because diría and dijera are not confusing. But comería and comiera, those are similar. Okay. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it now. That's fair. That's fair to get confused about. I guess I never thought about it until now. To be honest, if I've ever said it wrong in the past, like months ago or something, I wouldn't even have known because I never thought about how close they are together. Never. That's interesting. Though. I feel like I don't know. I think that they're easier to get confused. I think that they're easier to get confused on paper than they are out loud. Like, cause like I said, comedia and comiera kind of sound alike, but on paper I could see you being like, "Oh shit, I ate," or something like that. But they don't sound that much alike. And especially with like I said, other words like diria, it's not gonna be that close. Or like aria and hiciera, not that close. So no, but you definitely had a point. You made me think about something I haven't thought about before. So that's why I like doing stuff like this, man. I like talking to people. Like I said, I got a buddy in the army that's learning Spanish right now for his job, and we talked today on the phone, and he was expressing some concerns, and I'm like, you know what? Either I've never thought about that before, or it's just been so long since I was at this stage that I don't remember it. So um, it's good to talk to people. What was I gonna say? I was thinking about something. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you ever speak with usted, or do you only speak to people with tu? Because I remember I used to like run from using usted in the past. Now I kind of like speaking to people with usted, especially when I don't know them. Like, let me let you know, motherfucker, this is a professional conversation. We're not friends. Especially if somebody pisses me off. Oh, I can go to your channel. I just had to click the little three dots. I swear that shit was not there before. You got one video, Chewy Boy. When you talk to clients, you use the. Uh, Let me think. Hold on. You told me what you do before, but I forgot, bro. Let me think. You went to Tijuana for work. What did you do that you would have went there? Hmm. Can't remember. Feel sad. My memory's failing me. But to be fair, that was one conversation, and I was reading it, so it's not like we talked in person. If we talked in person, I wouldn't have forgot. I'm only asking because I'm interested in what kind of conversations you're having. You say you talk to clients, so it's good that you're using Spanish on the job. You do COVID testing. That's your whole job, bro. That is depressing. I'm guessing. Oh, that actually does make sense, though. Do you have like a what's the word I'm looking for? Do you have like a script? Do you say the same thing to everyone that's getting tested so that it's easier to just kind of flow it, or is this like questions that you have to ask people and they give you different weird responses and that can change the next question that you ask them because that's more difficult. But either way, that's dope that you get to use Spanish on the job. Lots of people do not get that opportunity. I get to use Spanish on the job, but it's like it's a little bit rare. Little bit rare. I gotta get certain people that speak Spanish, and then the rest of my staff be like, "What are you guys saying?" I'm like, "Mind your business, dog." So stick to a script. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It probably makes you more comfortable too, so that it can kind of flow out. Cause yeah, I like I said, I use Spanish on the job a lot, and every once in a while, like yeah, the conversation just goes somewhere that you weren't planning, and you're like, bro, I'm not equipped for this conversation right now. I don't know how to answer that. So definitely a good idea to stick to a script. That's cool though. You got a Chinese lady speak Spanish to you. I'm gonna say something that's not racist, but there was this show that I watched, and it was on Netflix. This was like in 2020, El Dragon, and it's like a samurai dude. I don't know if you ever seen it, but it's like a samurai guy that's like also in the cartel, and so he got like he's got there's some Japanese people that come over that they speak Spanish because it's a Spanish speaking show, and you know like there's that like very like racist stereotype that we do for Asians with the R's and L's, but like they really were talking like that in Spanish because it's a real thing. The language is different. They don't have the same sounds, and so on that show there was a Japanese guy. I can't remember his name, but he would be like "Ora," and I would just be like, "This shit is so funny." It's not supposed to be funny. It's kind of messed up that I'm laughing right now, but it was funny. I'm sorry. Languages are fun. I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing with him. I'm guessing she was actually. Oh, I was just about to say. I'm guessing she was actually Chinese. And yeah, he said that's how she was talking. Yeah, man. Languages are wild, man. It's so funny how you could hear someone's accent through another language, even if it's not your first language. You're like, oh, I can tell this person's from here because they can't pronounce this letter or they pronounce this letter too hard. In fact, on that same show, because like I said, it was a cartel show and it was international, so they would do business with all these different nationalities. There were some Russians, And for how I don't really know much about Russian, but for however their language is, for whatever reason, however their language is set up, they don't really do soft R's. And so I remember when I was first speaking to my friend in Colombia, he would he would call me the Russian because I couldn't say like the single R's. I would roll all the R's like hard, you know what I mean? And so he would just be like, "No, it's like one R. It's not a double R. You don't say it like that." And I'll be like, "Bro, I can't help it." And so like every time I'll get on the phone, I'd be like, "Hey, the Russian." So when I was watching that show and I would hear them do that, it was funny because I'd be like, "Okay, I see what he means now." Because it would be like, let me think. Okay, like for instance, like ahora, they would say ahorra, and it's like, well, that is a different word now. Like ahorrar is a totally different word, but you must be coming across a lot of accents of Spanish. How do you keep the one you have? Um, I think it's like let me let me get myself together before I answer this because this is kind of complex. I don't think it's any different than my native language. My accent in English is for the most part built in because this is how I learned how to say most words. I'm from the South, so like I never in my life will I be able to just be like right here. I say right here, and that's just how I say it. It would like take some training for me to say like here and there. Like I have to try really hard to talk like that. And so what has happened is I've lived in so many places now, and I've like intentionally neutralized my accent a little bit. Is that I do sound different than when I was younger, but I haven't lost like my essence. Like people up here, they hear me talk and they say like, "Oh, where are you from in the South?" You know what I mean? They don't know exactly because I said, I got a bit of a neutral accent now, but they can tell I'm not from here. And so I think it's the same thing in Spanish. Like most of the people that I speak with are Caribbean, so then that makes my Spanish Caribbean. It's not like I'm not like watching Mexican shows all day and talking to Mexican people all day because then I think that would change my accent. I think, but I think once you have like a big enough base in a certain accent or whatever, like it's just not gonna it's not gonna change that much. Like just like I said, a lot of the words that I learned to say, like it takes effort for me to not say them that way. Like for instance, and I know you don't speak Spanish, but the point will still be the same. All of the people in my life that I speak Spanish to are either Caribbean or they're from a country that talks like this, where the ADO letters make a ow sound, right? For me to talk like someone else that says cansado, like I have to like literally think about how I'm gonna say it and then like force myself to say it that way. Or else I just say cansado. Like I don't even think about it. So like I said, to lose this accent and get another accent, I would have to work for it. Now I do think my accent can be persuaded because when I watch certain shows, I watch people in Argentina and I'm like, che, boludo. And I'm like talking like them for like 30 minutes because it's funny. But I think it's pretty like ingrained. So, for instance, you got your Louisiana type accent going on. If you moved here and you moved to like where I live at, I live in the Pacific Northwest. You'll be around a completely different accent. And I don't think your accent will completely change, but you would be learning a whole bunch of different words. And a lot of times the slang that you use and the expressions that you use make you sound like something more than your actual accent does. So, for instance, in Texas, lots of people say, well, it's just a lot of stuff's becoming worldwide now. But like in the '90s, early 2000s, like we used to like we were like some of the only people saying bet or bet that up. You know what I mean? Or like it's a very Texas thing to say. No, I'm talking about. So even if you didn't really have a Texas accent and you said no, I'm talking about, you would kind of from Texas. You know what I mean? Or like people that say dead ass, they sound like they're from New York, even if they don't have a New York accent, because that's a very New York thing to say. Or like people that say, yo, it's mad brick outside instead of saying it's cold. Like you automatically sound like you're from the Northeast now. Like, why are you talking like that? So a lot of the expressions and words that you use make you sound like you're from a place, even if you don't have the accent. So to answer that question in a shorter way, uh, how do I keep the one I have? I just keep talking to those people, and like I said, I think it's pretty built in now. So I don't think about it. That's the answer. Sorry for that 17-minute answer right there. Yeah, and like I said, accents are they're a little bit fluid. They change a little bit, and so um, like I said, I usually say here, I usually say there, but every once in a while, I might like accidentally say like here. I gotta force myself. I might accidentally say here, but it's not like I'm like, oh my god, my accent. I'm just like, that was weird. Why did I say that like that? And then I just go on about my day. So yeah, I wish I knew what your old accent sounded like. I think it would have been cooler if I had like a video of how you sounded your first day or first month speaking English, and then I had how you sound right now. Like that would be the craziest progression. I posted a progression video of myself one time, but the problem was I didn't record from the beginning. I was too embarrassed. I just was like, nah, I'm gonna wait till I get better. So I didn't start recording stuff until like I was like 6 or 7 months in or something like that. And now I really regret it. I wish I had videos of like my first week speaking Spanish, like because I can remember trying to say the words and like trying to talk and respond and just like not being able to do it, like not even close. But it's like if I tell people about it, it doesn't seem real. Like even though people know Spanish is my second language, they just don't believe that there was like a point where I couldn't respond to people. I couldn't say the words like not even close to right. And so I wish I had those videos, but they don't exist. They ain't never gonna exist. My phone says there's 4 people in the chat, but only 2 have talked, so I don't know who it is. So right now it's just me and you, bro. Just talking about accents. What's crazy is you really only know like that one accent. You don't really know like probably wouldn't be able to identify um, other accents in the South or the North or none of that. There's so many accents in the United States, bro. It's crazy. Like so many. And because of like TikTok and everything else, a lot of them are blending together. That's kind of like what I was saying about the expressions and stuff. Like there were certain stuff that you would hear someone say it and you say they gotta be from here because that's the only people that use that. But now, because of the internet, everyone got the same slang. Like You had accent kind of words, like words in the original accent. I never knew grammar or tense in my original accent, so I never got used to them. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense, bro. Hold on, my wife just texted me. Let me see what you want. I'm back. He's on his Spanish journey. Yeah, man, send him my way. How deep is he into his journey? Did he just start, or is he like pretty far in? Cause I'm always looking for new people to to interview on the podcast. But if he just started, give him some time, cause I like to do them in Spanish. So want to make sure he can actually speak and respond. Oh man. Oh, he just got into it. Okay. Yeah, we'll give him a couple months. But yeah, tell him if there's anything he wants to see, like any concepts or whatever, or any phrases or whatever, like comment it on my channel, bro. Because I be trying to come up with new content, but it's difficult, man. It's like I don't even know what people want to see. I don't know what's new because usually anything I think of, I could type it in YouTube and like 50 people have made it already. So like I don't want to make the same thing 50 other people made. You could just literally search that. Do I think it's possible to learn two languages at the same time? Oh yeah, 100%. The thing is, the thing is, you have a limited amount of time and energy. So it's not that you can't learn two at the same time. It's that you will be impeding your progress in both of them essentially. So like, I use myself as an example. Let's just say I have 1 hour of free time per day, and I want to learn Spanish and Portuguese. Well, like that means I'm gonna put 30 minutes towards both of those instead of putting an hour towards one of those languages, which is fine. But let's just pretend that it takes, let's just say it takes 365 hours to learn a language that's completely made up. I just split that hour in two every day, right? So now it's going to take me 2 years to learn a language, or it's going to take me 2 years to learn both of those languages instead of 1 year for the first language and 1 year for the next. At the end of the day, at the end of 2 years, you still know two languages, but you're going to be at the beginner phase in both of those languages for longer than you probably want to be. Um, and what I would do, which I mean, you still end up doing the same thing anyways, but I would just get to a level of proficiency in the first language and learn the second language with the first language. That way, you knock out both at the same time and you can get an hour, technically get an hour of studying in on both of those languages. So like the little bit of Portuguese that I have studied, I always learn it from someone that speaks Spanish completely, like no English involved. So that way, like you're getting instructions in Spanish, so you're gonna learn new Spanish words just from the person explaining it to you. Like, oh, like you use this part of your mouth, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know. First of all, I didn't know what it was called in English. I just learned what it was called in Spanish. So you learn more stuff in the first language that you learn, and then you learn the basics of the next language. So that's what I would do. I would not start both of them at the same time from a basic level. But that's just me. I'm a nobody. So, and I also do not keep up with Portuguese. So clearly, my methods do not work for third languages. Nah, but I just don't. I don't have a reason to. I don't have a why for my Portuguese. That's the problem. Every time I start it up, I'm like, for what, bro? I don't know anybody that speaks Portuguese. Like, I literally don't know a single person. So, how much work would you put in every day while I was learning Spanish? I've always said max hours a day that you have put in for Spanish. I don't know, man. I'm not like a serious metrics guy. I know that like literally log all their stuff. I never was like I'm doing 1 hour today. It was never like that. I always did it based off of like my energy for the day. So like I would listen to a podcast on the way to work or listen to music on the way to work. Um, if I got home and I had time, I watch a show. You know what I mean? Um, but I never was like, I'm doing this much per day. I'm not like that. So even now, like I said, I just bought a book. I don't like say like, oh, I'm gonna get through these 100 pages this week. Like tonight, before I go to bed, I'll read. If I don't get too sleepy while I'm reading and it's entertaining, I might end up reading 100 pages. The other night, I literally read 1 page, bro, and it put me to sleep. The book was good, don't get me wrong. I was just so tired that the act of reading was what I needed to just crash out, bro. So luckily I had set my alarm because I was knocked out. I inspired you to become or to start becoming fluent in Polish. Wow, bro. Polish, why? What made you pick that? But I'm happy I'm the reason that you pulled the trigger on that. That's dope, bro. I just feel like Polish is tough. You gotta your old lady speak Polish or something? Like why Polish? I'm very interested. I know one Polish lady in real life and I'm scared to say what I want to say about her because she could be like watching this for all I know. But she's a tough lady. Her name's Julia. And she's very straightforward. She will call you fat. She's a nutritionist, and she'll be like, "You're fat. You need to stop eating this stuff because you're fat. This is why you're fat because you eat this stuff." And I would not learn Polish just because I would be scared to hear how that stuff sounds in Polish coming from her. You know what I mean? I just tell myself that no, she didn't understand English good. She didn't mean to call me fat. But if I heard it in Polish and I knew this is her native language and that's exactly what she meant, it would hurt my feelings. So somebody's singing out there. Do I ever come across Spanish words that I know? I missed it. That I know of, but don't know in my native language. Yeah, all the time. There's also just literally words in Spanish that don't exist in English. So or they just used completely differently. Yeah, but yeah, all the time for sure. Oh, your family's Polish. Okay, okay. It's one of those things where they would talk to me in Polish and then answer back in English. And understand I would struggle with my advanced conversation. So you're a heritage speaker. The good thing about you being a heritage speaker is that I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy for you to pick it back up, but one of the things that's tough about learning a language is, for one, like getting used to the different sounds and also the culture that goes along with language. Like I just said, like Yulia is super cool. Her culture is a lot different than mine. If I was to learn Polish, um, I would have to learn things about Poland. This is why people are like this. This is the history of Poland. This made people's personality like this. The weather's like this, so people act like this and they do this and blah blah blah. And so you won't have to do as much of that stuff, and you'll have a decent grasp already. Like if you know commands and like you know this much, you you're already in a great place. You can get on italki, start talking to people the first day, and like within months you could be like responding in Polish instead of English. Whereas like if I wanted to learn Polish, I need to learn the alphabet and the sounds and all kinds of stuff that you probably already passed. So but that's cool, man. I'm excited for you. And even though I don't know any Polish, it'd be cool to get some updates from you. Just let me know that you're still on the track, man. Let me know. I'm gonna be looking out for you every couple weeks, maybe, with an update to inspire us. But that's sick, though. Happy to hear that, man. It's always good to stay connected to your culture. Like not on some weird shit, but just it's literally who you are. It's where you come from, and so yeah, it takes like one or two generations to just lose everything, bro. Because what'll happen is, like you said, you understand Polish. Your kids and their kids will not understand, and because they don't understand, they will be disinterested in it. Like that's just how it works. And then if your kids might still say they're Polish, but their kids will just say, "I'm not Polish. I don't speak the language. I know nothing of the culture." Like my grandfather was Polish, and then their kids probably won't even know that you were Polish. So the longer you can at least keep the language in your lineage, the better chance there is that um, they'll stay tied to the cultural pieces too, like the food and all of that stuff, because they will feel Polish. Like so, I think that kind of stuff is important. I also think like obviously diversity and unity and all that stuff is cool too, but you know, like we have to be different to be diverse. So if we all just come together and there's nothing different anymore, like we actually won't be diverse. So keep your culture going. Is Spanish pronounced the same way it's written, unlike English? Oh yes, that is the best part about Spanish. It's 100% phonetic, which means like if you know the sounds when you look at a word, that is how it's pronounced. Versus English, you got Kansas and then you got Arkansas. Why are they spelled the same? I don't know, because English is stupid. Honestly, a huge reason why I started learning Polish as well is a big part of how I was raised. So I am if I were totally abandoned it, that would be a huge shame. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's the idea, bro. Keep it going. Like I said, you can't really control what your descendants do, but you can control what you do, and you might encourage them to keep it going too, with your story. If they know that you struggle with it, but you learn, maybe they will make sure they keep it going too. But yeah, I know a lot of people that lost their culture, and it's pretty sad because like even if they wanted to like kind of reconnect to it, it's kind of hard, man. Like I said, if you don't speak the language and the language hasn't been in your family for two generations or something, you just kind of don't feel like it's you. So that is it's tough, but it's good. Like I said, happy for you, man. I would love to keep getting updates on that. Oh man, I said I was gonna get off of here at 10, and it's 10:33. Y'all got me. Y'all got me again. Y'all got me again. I'm gonna do 2 more minutes. I'm getting off of here at 10:35. So if y'all got any last things you wanna say or ask, go ahead and speak now or forever hold your peace. 2 more minutes. This is the last call. Well, it's 1 more minute now. Good night, my friends. we'll catch you later. Maybe, like I said, maybe you'll be a guest on the podcast. I gotta figure out how to convince you to come on here. But take it easy. See you next time. All right, man. You have a blessed day too. Oh shit! Got back into Muay Thai. I know that feeling. Man, I sparred a couple weeks ago actually, and I don't spar like that anymore. Not Muay Thai, just pure boxing. And I was just like, yeah, it shows. I have not been sparring. Like, luckily, I just had way more experience than the person that I was sparring, so I was able to handle myself well. And but had I been going against someone that was serious, probably would have got smoked. So I definitely need to keep sparring. Not hard, but just stay with it and not take huge breaks. But all right, man. It was good talking to y'all. Like I said, happy to hear that you're choosing Polish, and I will hear about it on another day because I'm about to go to bed.